begins with a group of friends, which have known each other since college, and they're taking a trip for the spring. We have Nick and Anne. Nick is a head-down guy, and he's getting bored with his married life. Anne is a risk-averse wife that sometimes does pottery. Jack and Kate have been married since college and have quiet frustrations building in their relationship. And finally, Danny and Claude have a relationship where Claude takes care of Danny, and Danny resents him for it. The trip is to Nick and Anne's lake house. It's a 25th anniversary, and Danny cooks a crawfish boil that nobody at the table quite knows how to eat. Jack gives a toast that says it's rare in life to find your soulmate, and the table begins discussing whether soulmates are real. Kate says that romantic love fades, and what remains is a decision. Danny says that when you're in your 20s, love happens to you, but what you have by the time you're middle-aged is what you choose. It sounds philosophical until you realize that everyone at the table is answering a different question about their own marriage. The next morning, Nick takes Jack and Danny on a hike and tells them he wants a divorce. He's not having an affair, he just doesn't like Anne anymore. She's given up. All she does is play a farming game on her iPad. He mentions that she's very high in the leaderboard, and he finds this disturbing. Jack and Danny, for their part, try to talk him out of it, saying that all couples go through periods where they feel like roommates. Nick says he's already made up his mind. He says that 25 years was enough, and he only has one life to live. Kate, meanwhile, overheard a conversation at a local pharmacy, and she learned that Danny has a 70% cardiac blockage. There's a stent that he's going in next week, except Danny invented a work trip to Miami to avoid it. Claude, his partner, doesn't know any of this. He doesn't know any of this because, in his words, Danny lies to him to get what he wants. Claude is preparing for the anniversary ceremony that Anne has secretly planned. A full celebration of family and friends, and she sent Nick out to get some bagels while the party assembles. When Nick returns, Anne gets the microphone and recites her vows. She talks about their memories, both good and difficult. She mentions specifically that Nick installed their kiln himself, even though the manufacturer said it had to be done by a professional. A tear runs down Nick's cheek as she hands him the microphone. He doesn't know what to say, but before he can, the kiln explodes and takes out most of the cabin with it. The next vacation is in a tropical location. Anne is not there. Nick is with his new girlfriend, Jenny, his much younger dental hygienist. They are 5 weeks into the relationship, and they are going on their first vacation together. The friends are staying in an eco-lodge in yurts that Jenny arranged because she wanted to do something memorable. Nobody except for Jenny is enthusiastic about the yurts or the property. The friends notice that Nick has changed. He's doing things that Jenny likes. Danny tells him he's doing it wrong. You bring your younger partner up to your level, not the other way around. Nick responds that he likes who he is with her. He feels young. Because Claude and Danny can't stand the property they're at, Claude has quietly located a 4-star resort a mile away for when Danny needs a break from the yurt experience. Danny, fresh off heart surgery, is finding Claude's care suffocating. Claude is constantly hovering and even doing things like choosing what Danny eats. Danny doesn't want to be reminded how old he's gotten. One night, Kate finds Nick alone crying by the fire. She assumes he's reckoning with the life he destroyed. Then she hears Jenny and him having sex through the yurt next to them, and she revises her assessment. The next day, Nick steps on a sea urchin climbing rocks to find a secret beach after being goaded by Kate. He tells Kate that if she is angry with him, she could have just said so. Nick says that he knows his friends think he's a piece of shit for leaving his wife. Then he says something unexpected. He says he was crying at the fire because he couldn't believe how lucky he is. He says he was dead before, and now he's alive. He asks Jack and Kate, when is the last time you felt like that? And Jack and Kate look at each other and don't have an answer. Danny at this point has to get away from Claude's smothering, and when he wanders around the hotel, he sees Anne. She tracked the trip through a shared photo. He tells Kate that he kissed Anne, and Kate just laughs because she's not threatened by Anne, but she's frustrated with the situation. Kate ends up talking with Anne after this, and Anne tells her that she's hit rock bottom. We learn that Nick cheated on Anne repeatedly in their marriage. That, combined with the divorce, has left her broken. When Kate and Jack get into the car to go home, Jack says, "We need to go to therapy." The final vacation is a ski trip. This one has Anne on it, but not Nick. Nick is on a separate trip with Jenny and her friends. Anne is there with her new boyfriend named Terry, and Claude believes with a quiet confidence that he slept with Terry in Barcelona in 2007 and spends most of the trip trying to engineer situations that might confirm this. Jack and Kate are in therapy and doing the exercises, but don't talk to one another outside of therapy speak. One morning, Kate reaches for Jack's phone and finds he changed the password, and she doesn't know what to make of this, and she thinks that he might be having an affair. At the other vacation, Nick is not connecting with Jenny's friends. They didn't drink or eat meat. When he tells a story about a handyman who won't leave after fixing a hot tub, Jenny's friends are concerned for the handyman and don't get the humor in it. At the same time, Nick's friends are telling the same story and finding it hilarious. Nick wanders upstairs and Jenny finds him up there. He's playing a game on his tablet and he's trying to avoid the group, and she tells him she's angry at him for this. Back at the other cabin, Kate tells Jack to tell her who he's sleeping with. He says he isn't having an affair. He's changed his password because he was on LegalZoom researching divorce mediation. Not because he wants a divorce, but because Kate makes him constantly feel like she's about to leave. She says he can't leave because his life would fall apart without her. She does everything. The entire group listens in on this